Hey everyone, making profits here in the glorious investment studios with your highly anticipated, long-awaited introduction. Today we're going to have Glorious give her introduction to options trading for you. So everybody that's been waiting to learn about options trading, this is for you. So if you're just starting out, we're going to go straight from the beginning. So take it away, Glorious.
Hello and welcome to my channel, Glory's Investing. I'm your host, Glory. I am a full-time options trader. I do this for a living. I gave up my corporate job about a year and a half ago now, and this is all I do for my income is just do options trading. So I take this very seriously. It is my job to say. But teaching other people on how to get started is difficult just because I don't know your experience. I don't know your trading background. And I have to assume that anybody who's coming across my channel right now could be a brand new trader, meaning that you have never traded an option before, you don't even know what an option is, don't really know how to look at a chart for one. So I'm going to start at the very, very beginning, basically talking about brokers and charts. Now, you can use whatever broker you want, of course. I'm going to just talk about my own experience and the brokers that I currently use. I do live in the United States, so my broker choice is going to be a little bit different than if you lived in a different part of the world, different country. But for me, I use TD Ameritrade as my main broker, only because I love their Thinkorswim platform. Thinkorswim gives you everything that you need as far as like a charting package goes. You can manage your trades from there, see your open positions, look at your chart. It really is a nice all-in-one platform where you can even analyze trades, future trades. Really can't say enough good stuff about it. So to use Thinkorswim, here in the United States, I tie that to my TD Ameritrade account. Now, TD Ameritrade is merging with Schwab by the end of this month, I believe. So this video was recorded in November of 2023. But within the next month or so, even my account should be migrated over to Charles Schwab. So if you are opening up a new account and you're doing that today and you're interested in using Thinkorswim, I would go ahead and do that through TD Ameritrade and then let them migrate you over to Schwab with the rest of the Thinkorswim users. If you open up an account with Schwab today, as of this video, they don't have Thinkorswim as an available platform, but they will when all the other migrated users come over from TD Ameritrade. Now, the other broker choices that you have would be Tastyworks. I'm also a big fan of them, but I know that they are not offered in Canada currently. Interactive Brokers is another great broker if you're day trading, but not so great if you're looking at charts or trying to analyze trades. And a lot of these brokers too, you have to pay like a separate data package if you want to actually see the live quotes. So for Thinkorswim through TD Ameritrade, there are no extra fees for that, but if you have interactive brokers, you'll be paying some sort of fee to basically get those live feeds for futures or the stock market. And even a charting platform like TradingView, also great for looking at charts, but unfortunately, unless you're not just doing like daily charts and you want like live feeds, they also require you to have like a monthly subscription for a data package. So I'm going to go ahead and just start you off as if you had just downloaded a fresh instance of Thinkorswim. And I'm going to walk through on how to set that up for the first time, including on how I set up my daily charts for end of day analysis. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and just get started here. Okay, so after you've installed Thinkorswim, it should be an available application that's in your program group. I'm running Windows, so for me, I'm just going to click on my Start button down here. At the top, I can start typing in Thinkorswim, and you'll notice I have a Thinkorswim app that I can choose from right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, every time you open up this application, it is common for it to install updates. If you run this daily, I do recommend that you do a restart of your platform. Usually, I do it once in the morning before I get my trading day going. But I find that it's performance-wise, it seems to work better if I do a restart each day. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Now, the other thing that you'll notice is down here you have two different options where you can choose live trading or paper money. Live trading is your actual live broker account that you have live money in, and then your paper money is more like a demo account. So I'm going to go ahead and choose paper money. And then this Down here, it's telling us that Thinkorswim is currently undergoing maintenance. That's also very typical for over the weekend, which is when this video is being recorded. Usually when this is down here like this, you can still log in, look at charts. It's just, you might notice things are a little bit slower. So let's go ahead and try to log in. All right, so since this is a very fresh instance, you'll notice that I have just the default view. When you have a new instance of Thinkorswim, I do recommend that you go in and right away change a few things. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on the setup. So that's right up here at the top right-hand corner. Go into application settings. And the first thing that I typically change is under order defaults. So even though this is a paper account, we want to replicate real trading as much as possible. And usually when new traders start out, they don't trade large orders. So for stocks, I'm going to go ahead and keep this as 100 shares. Whenever you're doing options, it is typical to have or require 100 shares of something. So I'm going to leave that part alone. But I'm also going to come down here under options and change this default quantity of from 10 back down to 1. And then I'm going to do the same thing for futures. Change this back down to 1. And same thing with future options. Change this back down to 1. All right, and then let's go back over underneath the general tab here. There are a lot of different other things that you can change. The important ones in my opinion are going to be if you have multiple accounts, like for myself, I have IRA accounts, I have individual accounts that have different purposes. So I like to have my Thinkorswim open where I can choose the individual accounts at the top. But you could set this up where if you're only trading in one specific account, you can only display that account as being an option. And then, of course, you can have a default account of your list of accounts. So since this is a brand new instance and we just have the one demo account, we're going to go ahead and just leave that alone. The rest of this you can kind of go through and see if any of the others make sense for you to change, but I find a lot of this just to be fine the way that it is. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit apply settings. And that brings us over to our chart view. So if you're not already sitting on the chart view, which for now is just an empty chart, you're going to click on charts up here at the top. And then you'll see that there's actually a couple different options for charts. So this one right here, it's set up just to have like one window for the charts. But if you wanted to have like multiple windows, let's say you have like a daily chart, a 5-minute chart, you can have as many windows as Thinkorswim will allow you to have. For me personally, I like to have one big chart that's underneath the chart section, and then underneath the flexible grid, which is the same thing. You can have multiple charts. They just give you a way where you can size these to be to your custom preference, right? So if you have one chart that you have really skinny and you have other ones that are fat, it allows you to add in more charts with your specific size. So for today, I'm just going to focus on the chart layout, which is my big screen. And I'm going to set this up as if we were looking at just a daily chart. So to do that, let's go ahead and click on charts. The first thing that we need to do is enter in a symbol. So for me, I'm going to type in /ES, which is the E-mini for the S&P 500. Okay. Now that I have this chart up, there's a few different things I'm going to do to customize it for my specific layout. So the first thing that I do is I come under here under Studies, and I click on Edit Studies. Now there's a few different indicators that I'm going to go ahead and add. You'll notice that Thinkorswim has a ton of different indicators that you can choose. I don't use any of those except for a couple of moving averages and then the volume profile that you'll see here in a minute. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just type in EMA, and you'll see this option here called Legacy EMA. I'm going to go ahead and click that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I did that, you'll notice they all show up here over on the right-hand side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here on this first one. I'm going to click on the little cog to change the settings, and I'm going to bump this down to 8. Now you can make these whatever color that you want or any line style that you want. For me personally, I like my 8 moving average to be the color yellow, so I'm going to go ahead and update that. The second one I'm going to modify is this guy right here, and I'm going to make that to be a 21. and I'm going to change that to be green. The third one is going to be the 34 EMA, and I'm going to make that gray. And for the fifth one, I'm going to come down here and I'll change that to be 55. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and make this one red. All right. Now there is one more indicator I'm going to add that's a moving average, but it's not the legacy EMA, it's just the simple moving average. So in here, I'm now just going to type in simple, and I'm going to choose the second one that says simple moving average. Double click on it once so it gets it over on the right hand side. I'm going to go ahead and change the settings on this to be length of 200. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to be orange. Right. Now, the other thing that was down here by default is the open interest. I'm going to go ahead and remove that because I don't typically have that in any of my daily charts that I follow. And then I'm going to come back over here on the left-hand side and I'm going to start typing in the word volume. Okay. And then once you have all the indicators that have the word volume in it, you're going to scroll down to the very bottom of the list and look for the one that's called volume profile. Once you find volume profile, same thing, double click it, and it's going to add it over here on the right hand side. If you get click happy and add it too many times, you can click on the X and that'll remove it back out. Put that guy back. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to modify its settings, just like for the moving averages. I'm going to click on that. So the first thing that I do here is I change this first drop down. Instead of automatic, I'm going to change that to be tick size. Time per profile, I keep as chart. Expansion is fine, 1000. All of this is fine, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that as is. And I'm going to go ahead and just hit OK down here at the bottom. Okay. Now we have a few more settings that we're going to change on our overall chart. So for that, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go ahead and click on the settings. And this is going to modify just my chart settings. So I'm going to click on the gear. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take off the volume indicator that's down here at the bottom. So for that, if you go over to equities, options, and futures, you'll notice that they each have this option for volume, show volume subgraph. I take that off for each of them. So let's go ahead and do that. Now the other thing that I like to change is underneath the price axis, we're going to go ahead and take off the check mark for fit studies and fit study markers. And the reason why I do that is I like my charts to auto scale basically to fit on the screen without having to scrunch in every indicator that I have on the chart. So for example, that last indicator I added for the simple moving average, which is the 200-day, that may or may not be visible on your chart depending on how far away price is from that moving average. So I go ahead and I take those off. The other thing that I like to change in here is the time axis. And for this, I like to choose the box that says Keep Time Zoom. And what that does is when I've actually zoomed in on a chart, when I close back out of the application and open it back up, it'll keep the zoom setting that I had. Now we're going to go ahead and go over to expansion area. And I like to put this as 10 bars, and that just gives me some area over on the right-hand side. And we're going to click on Appearance. The other thing I like to take off is the grid. Don't really care about that. And let's go back over to Futures. All right, and we're going to go ahead and just apply this down at the bottom, see what we got left. All right, so this is looking a little bit better. The other thing is I don't like these red lines. These show when the options expire on the monthly basis. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off as well. So let's go back into Setup. And for that, it's going to be over, I believe it's the time axis. Yeah, so show rollover lines, we're going to go ahead and take that off. Same thing with show expiration Friday. The only one I really leave on is just to show the year marking line. So that just shows like when it keeps, or when it cuts over from like 2022 to 2023, for example. Let's go ahead and apply that. All right. So now we have just the rollover lines, which are applicable to futures. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that too. So let's go back into Setup. And let's go over to futures. Okay. So for that, we clicked on Setup, and we're going to go to Features, and we're going to take off this checkbox that says Show Contract Change Events, and we're going to go ahead and apply that and hit OK. All right, so now we should have a chart that looks very similar to this. It's still a little bit on the scrunchy side, so I'm going to hit this little plus sign down here at the bottom. And now you can see we have a little bit more clarity as far as like what the candles look like. Okay, now that we have a basic chart going, let's talk about the rest of the Thinkorswim platform. So over here on the left side hand side is your account information. By default, it shows your option buying power here at the top. Um, Now this is a demo account, so there's no actual live money tied to this, but if you wanted to hide your information for recording on YouTube, if you were demoing or if you were showing off of a live account, what you could do is click on this little drop down right here, and then you'll switch this over to be privacy. When you do that, it changes all of your info to stars along with your account number. So I'm going to go ahead and just take that back off so I can talk about these different values. But basically, option buying power talks about how much buying power you have for option specific orders, which is a little different than your net liquidation. That basically represents if you closed out every position that you had right now, positions that are in a profit or in a loss are going to contribute to that net lick. So right now, I don't have any open positions on this account, but if I did, this number would probably be different than my option buying power along with my cash. And again, it's just going to show you like what you currently have open and if you closed out any losses or profits that are in those open orders, how much your account balance would be. So if you wanted to change this and actually show more information, you would click on this right here, go to Customize Gadget, and these are all the different things that you can add to your side. So for me, the ones that are up here that I care about are the net liquidation. I usually actually have that one at the top, and then the option buying power just lets me know how much of my funds I still have available for trading options. Now the other gadgets down here you can customize and add or remove as needed. The easiest way to do that is to come over here, and for that you can get rid of gadgets by clicking on the little gear. For example, like the Trader TV, I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Same thing with the quick charts. The news I typically keep on, but the watch list, I like to have lots of real estate for my watch list. So we're going to go ahead and just keep that like that. Now you'll notice too that each one of these windows has like a little link symbol. And that link symbol can be changed to be like a number with a color association. And what that does is this will link up the different windows that are available within your Thinkorswim. So for me personally, I like to have my watch list to be the same number or link code color as my chart itself. And I'll show you what that does here. But first we need a watch list, right? So Thinkorswim has a bunch of like public watch lists that you can choose from, which are all within here. But we're going to go ahead and just create our first watch list. So for that, let's do create watch list. We'll give it a name. We'll call it paper count playground. And to add in different symbols, you can either just start typing in right here, or you can add symbols this way. You can import a list of symbols from like a text file. But I'm going to go ahead and just start typing in things here. So I like to have the Dow Jones, which you can add in by doing $DJI, and then hit enter. You'll see it pops up with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The other ones I like to have are /ES. That's for the S&P futures. I also add in the SPX index itself, which is the actual index for the S&P futures. And then SPY, which is the exchange traded fund for the S&P futures. So I'll go over in a different video exactly the difference between these three products. But for now, let's go ahead and just get them on a watch list. The other one I like to watch is the VIX, and that is the volatility for the SPX. And we'll go ahead and just add in a couple stocks just so we have things to play with here. So I'm going to go ahead and add an Apple. Let's pick a banking stock, JP Morgan, which is JPM. You can throw in a cybersecurity stock like Palo Alto. And then, of course, you can just keep adding whatever stocks that are your favorite, but this is enough to get us started. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save on that. And you'll notice it automatically starts populating my symbols and the information related to those symbols. All right, so the other thing I'm going to do is I like to change the columns that are available for those symbols. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this little gear right here. And I know it's hard to see, but it's the little symbol that looks like a cog. So click on that and go to Customize. Now, for me personally, I don't really care about the bid and the ask, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those out. One thing I do like to see though is the percent change. So the net change is the actual dollar amount that the stock has moved for the day. The percent change is that representative in percent format. So I'm going to go ahead and add on that. The other things I like to add on are the ATR, which is the average true range, which is a approximation of like how much that stock or index is expected to move on a daily basis. And then I also add on implied volatility. So if you just type in IMP, the one that you're going to choose is the one without any symbol next to it, and it's going to be this third option right here. Double click it, add it over, hit OK, and let's see what we got. All right, so now that you have that in there, you can click and drag, shrink them up, make them bigger if you need to. This can also be expanded over to make the columns bigger. There we go. So then you have something that looks like this. Drag that up to be a little bigger. All right, so as I was talking about these numbers, so if I wanted my chart to update no matter what stock I chose in here, like right now you can see it's on ES and that's all I got. But if I wanted to look for the chart for Apple, I can either come up here and just type in AAPL, or I can change my little links to be the same color. So since this is on number 1, I'm going to go ahead and drop this down and also make it number 1. And now if I click on Apple, you'll notice that my chart also changes. Same thing with SPY. All right. So that's that. And then we can do the same thing with the news as well. So if you want to see just the news for Palo Alto, for example, we can change this to red. And then this will update to be whatever symbol we've chosen down here. So Palo Alto, this is all the recent news that came out for Palo Alto. If you want to click and actually read the news story, you can click on any one of these lines and it'll pop up in a new window. And yeah, so that's information, more information than you probably need, but there you go. And to close that out, you just click on the X like any other Windows application. All right, so now that we have a list of stocks and we have a chart that actually looks at these stocks, our next lesson is going to be focused on how to actually read this chart. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this video here and then catch up with you on video number 2.